Alright, so I got up here and then I accidentally finalized the video instead of pausing it, so I'm going to start this over real fast. This is Buck's Sunday from a couple weeks ago. And we'll start off here at this ace-queen hand. It looks like a 3-bet pre. And now we get to the river. I think it's a pretty clear value bet with the ace-queen up here. Still a lot of hands we can get value from, and we're pretty balanced with, we still have some bluffs, although that river's pretty terrible for us. I was thinking that we should probably be continuing most non-diamond rivers. I think I love shoving outside of maybe Jack and 10, just because a lot of the hands that we could get value from improved by those cards. And with the diamond getting there too, it's really hard for us to balance our range with enough bluffs that I think we can't really go this thin for value. So I think I like just checking back here. And then in this Winamax hand, like I said, I don't really like turning this hand into a 3-bet. I think it's like a fine combo to use in general, but just on Winamax, just a sight adjustment I make on Winamax, because I think people are way too peely, that I probably ditch this hand in particular and keep my bluffs more geared towards like smaller suited connectors, a lot of broadways, and then clearly our value hands. Just some hands that'll have some more playability post flop. And that's just a Winamax adjustment. Like, I don't think people are just folding to 3-bets enough to be taking hands that don't play post very well. Because I think we're going to be facing a lot of flop decisions. The King 7 hand, I think I just like folding pre, particularly to like a guy who hasn't been playing too wild, open under the gun. I think I'd rather just fold it. But if you're going to 3-bet, like, I like the sizing. Put as much pressure on him pre-flop as possible, because there's not going to be a lot of flops we're going to be able to continue. So I like the sizing, I just don't like the spot as much. I do like the note-taking, though. Six nine suited. I like the smaller c-bet and see a reason to size it up at all. I think it's a pretty interesting spot. We'll skip ahead here to the river when we river the 9, and he leads. I think, I mean, it's really player dependent. I think just because it's Winamax, I think a call is probably best, but a call's decent, I would say, on Winamax, just because I'd expect him to show up with a lot wider range than I would say on Stars, like against the Stars reg or whatever. Just because I don't see a lot of his check call range is going to include ace highs, a lot of Jack X, 4X. Maybe hands like 5s, 6s, and 7s. And out of that range, I only see, his Jacks, his 4s definitely betting on the river. I don't see ace highs. I see most ace highs just trying to check it down. And even the 5s, 6s, and 7s, I think, move to showdown quite a bit. Maybe maybe you can discount maybe like half of those combos bet. If that's the case, I don't know. I think it's pretty close. But on Winamax, if you expect to like see him show up here with like King 10, Queen 10, King Queen kind of hands, then yeah, it's definitely a call. For that reason, I don't hit a call. But against a guy who's playing a little more straightforward, I might just muck this. I'm also not crazy about these Queen 10 opens. That's actually where I fucked up the video earlier. I tried to run this spot and actually finalize the video instead of pausing it. Yeah, I think Queen 10 off EP, MP position, maybe just find a fold pre though. And then here we're getting 2 to 1. So I ran the numbers. At first I thought this was pretty close, but I thought it was a call. But then I went ahead and plugged it in to Equilab, and I ran the numbers, and even with a pretty wide range, it takes a really wide range to make this call even like just slightly profitable. And I mean, I got hands like, I didn't even realize I had 9-10 off in there. Probably get rid of that. But so if let's say we got rid of that, we're still looking at just about break even. And I don't think just a random guy's gonna be shoving this wide. So after running the numbers, like we got to get rid of that. But you know, like all Broadway shoving, I got him shoving like King 9 suited, Jack 9 suited, 8-9, 10-9 suited. Which I know there are guys out there that have this reshove range, but just to apply it to randoms, pretty generous. And even with that, I mean, it's just barely making money. So probably check fold's probably fine. I don't hate the thought of turning Queen 10 off into a 4-bet bluff, just because we get there at the bottom of our range, not very much playability, especially against a one-tabler. It's pretty great result with the King Queen suited there. Yeah, definitely take a note of that. Pretty great flop in the 7-6. I think I like just check raising, trying to get it in on the flop, especially against a shorter stack. He should be on the tight side, and he's going to have a lot of hands that he's just going to have to go with it here. So. Yeah, I mean, I would expect his check call range to be like 10s plus, like King Jack plus. And even though some of our bluffs improve, I think I still like just shoving. Just not expecting him to read too much into that. King Jack off, pretty easy call. And yeah, I like the 3-bet spot with Ace 10 off here on the small blind. Oh wait, what happened with the? Oh, I see what happened. You opened and then folded. All right, yeah, that seems fine. I thought it was you were in the big blind. Seemed like a pretty high 5 call, but pretty easy shove with the Jack 10 suited here. Expect to see like no traps. Or very few, I should say. It's unfortunate. With the 9s, probably sizing it up. Pretty big for so we can get a big river bet in. Kind of a shitty river for us, but still try and maybe size it down a little bit now, just because the run-out's not been great. Try and size it down to still be able to get called by his 2-pair combos, like his King 10, King 9, 9, 10. So maybe go a little under half pot. It's just a spot. He shouldn't have too many combos that can just check call here. And that just sucks. I mean, he just has Queen Jack all day. I mean, you just never see people bluff this spot. The board favors us so strongly. Sucks, but I think we just gotta fold it. Yeah. Much discipline. Queen Jack off. It's definitely close. It's a big stack. He's been pretty active. Yeah, I like it. I should be really wide there. Maybe shoving like hands like 7-8 suited. Plus probably Queen Jack off. Broadways. Queen 10 hand, he just checks back, I believe. Yeah, so pretty clear value bet here. We're pretty well balanced. I mean, we have plenty of hands that we want to select here that would want to bluff. We got all our King 10s that he doesn't have, 9 10s he doesn't have. That's interesting. But I was gonna say in general, I might size this up a little bit more, just a little bit, like picking hairs, but maybe go like 320 plus. His raise makes very little sense. Like I wouldn't expect. We have blockers to pocket queens, which is like the clearest hand you'd want to check back here. I'd expect him to see bet like jacks, deuces, uh, ace queen, king queen, even ace queen, king queen. If he checked back, I wouldn't expect him to raise it on the turn. Maybe he's playing a weird strategy where he does, but so right now I mean, he's repping pretty thin. Like he's got some weird queens and jacks that he checks back. Maybe he turns a set of fives. I'd say his most the clearest hand I could see him trying to bluff with here maybe is like ace king. He's got good blockers to king queen, king jack, ace queen, ace jack, and some back doors. But even ace queen I'd expect, or ace king I'd expect to maybe just call here. Definitely a weird hand. With the four comes through, it makes me maybe he has some hands like ace four, ace three that he decided to check back on the flop. Then picked up some equity on the turn, and he raises. And he follows through too. Jesus. So if we break it down, like his clearest bluffs are maybe ace king, ace four now. And then his value hands would be like ace three, pocket fives, one combo of pocket queens, and maybe give him another combo of pocket jacks. He's got ace fours, ace king. I mean, just nobody bluffs this way though. I mean, I know it's Mads. I'm trying to think of how he plays. I don't know. I would just side fold. I think it's such a stupid spot. Because you don't see people take this line. I mean, he's attacking a pretty. I mean, our range is not the strongest. Clearly, we show up with hands like this. This would definitely be like, outside of our pure bluffs, this is the worst value hand that we get here with. Yeah, I don't know. Weird spot. Cool 3-bet spot with 8-9. Leverage some stacks. That's the guy who's opening fairly wide. 4-5. Pretty awkward stack sizes. Getting a pretty good price to peel though. I think I like that over check raising folding. If this gets checked through though, I definitely like turning our hand into a bluff on the river. But yeah, that's a pretty strong bet from the button, getting there on the turn. So yeah, I don't hate just check folding. Solid 3-bet spot here on the bottom left. I like checking back the ace-king there. Just on a board we dominate so hard. Not much room for him to have made hands with pair of tens. Did that guy just check call? Oh yeah, he rivered the straight. Alright. So we got check call with the ace. Ace 8 I kinda like just squeezing there. I think it's gonna play a lot better, just a big squeeze, like make it 4x. Squeeze these guys out. Clearly flatting's fine too, but interesting bet size by Josino. In my experience, oversized bets on the rivers here from like are just mostly value. I mean, obviously it's pretty clear he's got quite a few combos of bluffs that he could get here to the river with. But at the same time, I mean, he could bet pretty wide for value here too. Like he'd expect you to continue all your King X on the turn, so he can bet almost any King X for value here. So it's pretty well balanced. I like his bet, but I think from our standpoint, I just don't think he's going to show. I don't think he's going to be bluffing to this sizing often enough. So I think I just give it up. Tempting, but I just think guys tend to bluff take their bluff combos and maybe size them down. Seems natural. Like if you want to have as wide of a range for value as possible on the spot where you're bluffing, especially on this board where you've already shown your weakness. Like he wants to be convincing enough that maybe he has like jacks here for value or like king 10. Maybe he, yeah. And I like the lead on that turn with the ace-8 too. Just protect our hand. It's pretty unlikely to be beat at that point. Maybe some 7/8s. You'd expect Jack 10 to bet itself all the time from one of those two guys on the flop. So. I'd love to see what Mads MP had on that one hand. My gut tells me he just turned a set of fives, but pretty good flop for 5-6 open there. King 4 here, and the Drago. Yeah, we're pretty short. I mean, I guess. We're so short here. I almost kind of just want to shove the flop. I don't expect to induce a lot of c-bets on our sizing, like a lot of light c-bets from him. Maybe he still c-bets all of his combos. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but I'd expect him to check back a lot of combos that whiff this flop. It's a good result. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's still c-betting 100%, but I think if he's not, like, we should probably just be shoving and protecting our equity on the flop. I don't know how much value we gain from him just c-bet folding ever. So these king hands interesting on whether to c-bet it or not. I know you're a firm believer in just c-betting in spots like this, but I think I don't know, with having the ace of clubs makes it more of a lean better for c-bet or better for checking back. I'm interested to see what you got to say about that. I mean, ace king's a great blocking hand though if we want to fire 3. It's a pretty great river. Interested why you didn't 3-bet the 9-10 suited too. It seems like a pretty good combo. I mean, I know it plays fine as a flop, or as a flat, but I would just, in general, just 3-bet those kind of hands. Interesting check raise spot. You could put a lot of pressure on a lot of his made hands, but I think a lot of guys are just going to fast play there. I think you're just going to get shoved on a ton. I like the a7 shove. Definitely need to be shoving wider on Winamax too. Take advantage of people being out of line. Alright, well that's about the halfway point. So I think I'm going to stop it here and then I'll pick up the rest in another video. But looks pretty good.